Experiences are modifications of the mind. The inner organ, mind, which is itself but a modification, vritti, identifying itself with the reflection of consciousness, imagines various ideas in the dream state. And the same inner organ, identifying itself with the body, imagines objects external to itself in the waking state with respect to the sense organs. Internal and external are terribly difficult to understand unless we compare two states of consciousness. That which is external in the dream state is internal from the waking state. We can understand on waking that it was experienced within us. There was nothing inside and yet we saw. Similarly, from the Advaitic point of view, that which is external in the waking state is internal in Samadhi, Turiya. For example, we see a tiger in the dream and on waking realize it as a modification of the mind. Similarly, if we were able to reach that level of Samadhi in meditation, then this outside world would be a mere modification of the personality and mind. However, a fear comes up when we become aware of the ultimate dreamlike quality of the waking life. We do not wish to accept it, even as a concept, because it seems to indicate the death of our personality. But in the state of Samadhi, there is no personality, so there can be no fear. Actually, we look back at the life we have already passed. The experiences, as we recall them with the help of memory, appear as mere modifications of the mind, since they cannot hold the reality that they did as and when we experienced them in that particular time and space. So we have let such experiences go. In fact, with time, many experiences are completely forgotten and might as well have never happened. We need to ask them, then we need to then ask, what did we experience? Did we move on or did the film change? We feel we have moved on, but Advaita says that we cannot move anywhere. We are established and steady. It is the film that changes, and we are merely the witnesses. Now, if we want to call these films as absolutely real, no one can stop us. We can keep replaying the film just because we do not want to let go. Advaita gives us absolute freedom. The bondage is ours. Therefore, we cannot have regrets, complaints, and expectations. As it is, we are the ones who judge, manifest, assume, and create. We attribute the qualities and we make the decisions and come to conclusions. Think of the image of a man peeping out of a hole, and first he sees the head of a cat, then the body, and finally the tail. So he concludes that the head was the cause of the body and the body was the cause of the tail. We see only parts and join them together and create our own virtual reality, which is Maya.
This illustration I got from, what's his name? Alan Watts.
Oh, Alan Watts.
He's written a book called The Book. And in that he gives this illustration for Buddhism, actually, that this is the way we join cause and effect. You see the tail first and then the body, and you say tail is the cause and the...
If we can take the position of the witness and watch everything go by, we will actually find life to be a great adventure and enjoy it. And the mind will also become ready to see whatever is happening. This is the way to think and understand, and slowly we either bring the whole universe within ourselves or we know everything as Maya. That the whole thing is unreal, and leave everything outside, including the body and mind. If we reason, then we cannot deny Advaita. That is why Swami Vivekananda wanted everyone to understand Advaita and then live in joy.
No?
Yes.
Not simple?
Yes. Here, yes.
It is simple.
Here it is very simple.
The practice is difficult.
Very simple. Nature of the subtle body. The subtle body, which is the material cause of the mind and egoism, is one and of the three nature of insentiency. It moves in the three states and is born and it dies. There is a theory that the subtle body travels from one physical body to another in the cycle of birth and death of the gross body. This coming and going continues till ignorance dissolves along with the subtle body and one realizes the identification with Atman Brahman. So that is when the dissolution of the subtle body can take place. Otherwise it's an ongoing cycle.
Because there's a desire. As long as the desire is there, how can you get out of anything?
I have a note from when we did it last time. Beyond the subtle body is the causal body that carries desire, karana sharir.
Yeah.
So
In Advaita they talk about a karana sharir, which is the seed.
So there's
The seed
Sthula
form.
Sharir, Sushma Sharir, Karan Sharir.
Yeah.
Stula Sukshma.
Yeah. No, there is
from the
Sthula,
Advaita.
then there is Sukshma, then there is Karana.
That's from the Advaita point of view.
Causal. No.
No.
Causal is the seed of desire,
Mhm.
which is actually what brings us, which wants us to make this psychophysical system so that we can experience and enjoy. Play the game.
The power
The
to
seed
mind.
of desire,
Yes.
the seed of desire would be the same seed for everyone. I mean, it's not like in the
Yeah, it
subtle
is
body,
the same.
it
It's
would-
the same.
Yeah, okay. So out of that
Desire of
comes-
what changes only when the personality is made.
So rebirth is like, we don't have that tree, but at the aham kara, you have this, it's before I'm born, there's that seed of
Yeah.
desire, and it has to manifest into a body, which I create.
Yeah. It's universal also. It isn't as if it's just the individual. It's universal, connected with the idea of Ishvara, the collective. It's the collective which then separates into millions.
And is that based in that verb root, each, to desire, to wish?
No, desire is a basic current. You cannot ask why the desire in the collective, because we don't know. And we cannot unless we become one with the collective. So that is why they call it Maya, that you cannot know. And once it gets attached to a separate individual, then it starts functioning as a separate individuality, and one identifies with my desire. But it isn't as if desire is individual only. It is collective, it is universal, and that is what they say is the way to freedom. Why don't you let go of the individual and say, it's universal, it's not mine in particular. That's what they are trying to say again and again. That is why the ego is supposed to be bad. Supposing I let go, if it is universal, what is that to me? So I can separate myself. But we attach to the idea it is mine. See, I and then mine. Without the I, there is no mine. Without the mine, there is no world, there is no experience. But the desire is to experience. Therefore, we have this progression First it's I, and then it is mine, and the moment mine starts, then there's no end to play. Because then I keep on wanting experience, and the result of experience becomes like a negative film, which is in the hard drive or whatever you can think of, and then I replay it again and again with a little variation. So that's what they are saying. Yeah.
So is the mental body part of the subtle body, part of it?
The mental body and subtle body are one and the same.
And so what is, just because of reference to terms like a disembodied spirit being in the bardo between death.
Disembodied is the idea of subtle body.
Is
Subtle body.
is subtle body
Yeah.
in the realm of subtle body.
Yeah.
And when Ramakrishna talks about, as on page 20, that the 7 rishis in the light form a child, when the child emerges, then we're saying that that's the universal light, and there's also the desire from the mental body, subtle body?
No. The mental body and gross body are far away. First there has to be what we call, what do we call it in Sanskrit? It's gone. There is a primary evolution and then the secondary evolution. Primary evolution is subtle, universal. And then from there you come to a level where the atoms and the electrons and molecules, and then they form into what would you call combinations of chemicals and combinations of physical matter, and only then the secondary evolution starts. We have 2 levels of evolution. First is primary evolution, the subtle universal, and then the gross starts. And it is the gross that is part of physical research. It's not the subtle. Subtle is psychology. You can move inwards and see each and every level, experience each and every level of subtle levels within myself, which are part of the universal. This psychology thinks of the universal first, then the individual. It isn't as if the individual starts from the very beginning. That's not so. It's universal, and then when the material for physical evolution is ready, then only the individuality starts. Separation starts. Before that, it is supposed to be mental, it is supposed to be subtle, and that is universal. So even at the gross level it is universal. But because we use our sense organs, we only see separation. But separation is not separation is not a fact. It's an illusion. And that is what every religion tries to tell us about, that separation is not true. But we believe our sense organs are giving us separation, and that separation is real, absolutely real. So if one wants to understand, one has to use something else than the sense organ. We are so obsessed by sensory understanding and sensory information that we never try to sort of become aware, though we are aware that there are people who are all calling themselves by the same first name, I. How can it be possible if it were not universal? So which I do we refer to? Supposing I don't refer to the body and the mind, which I, how can you distinguish between the I of another person and oneself. So the universal is available, but we will look at the outer form and say it is separate. So from this point of view, Indian point of view, primary evolution is first, secondary evolution is physical. And primary evolution is psychological. It is not physical. Whereas the Western theory of evolution will say that the primary evolution, or whichever evolution they talk about, it starts at the physical level. I don't know whether I'm making it clear or not.
And that's how they end up with the hard problem, because they can't figure out where consciousness comes from.
Oh yes.
Because it's all. at one
We say
point-
consciousness is primary, absolutely primary, the very first fact. Then there is the rest. Whereas the West says physical reality first and then the rest comes out. And Swamiji says you can think of it as cyclic. Once the creation or the projection starts, it can go from physical to psychological, psychological to physical, it becomes cyclic, which we notice within ourselves also, like the 3 states of consciousness: waking, dreaming, sleeping, waking, dreaming, sleeping. You keep on going in a cyclic way. But we don't pay as much attention to the cycle because we believe dreaming and sleeping are not my experiences. We neglect them, ignore them. Therefore, the cyclic movement is not paid attention to. And it's only a yogi who pays attention to that. And then understands that all the 3 states are like a revolving something. After all, we spend almost 10 hours or 8 hours in deep sleep or sleep and dream. And then even in the waking state, there are moments of dullness, there are moments of... So these are all states of consciousness. So if I think of myself in reference to states of consciousness, I will have a very different identification. And if I start thinking of myself as a solid, physical human being, then my point of view changes. So the points of view, that is the main idea. Change your point of view with understanding or with practice. Practice also will give you the same, but practice without understanding takes a very long time, and practice with understanding will give you some experience when you realize that yes, it is true.
So, in the Indian psychology, is there this idea of, because Caroline asked the question, is the seed universal? And the seed's universal, but like, is it, and so it goes from the universal to the individual, but is there any concept of and we have this collective, but like multiple collectives, like a we, you say we all have a name I, we all use the same name I, but how about that name like we? So is there any concept of a difference between groups, like groups having their own?
Oh, that's far away from the main thing. There are primary concepts which are very simple. But as you move outwards, identification with groups and clans and races and nations, that goes on adding to the thing. It isn't as if that's primary. Primary is I, which directly is connected with the ultimate I of this universe, ego of this universe. But when the I starts functioning with the help of experiences, then it develops a new kind of, you can say, what would you like to call it? A new identity. Yeah. Supposing I say I am an Indian, immediately I have added something to myself. So after that I say I am a Hindu, again another, it's like another sheath. So we keep on adding sheath after sheath after sheath till the I is completely lost.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to figure out is that when we add a sheath, and we are doing our enameling, but is there any such thing as like a collective of eyes that have like their own, sheath kind of thing? Like, so I guess it could be a race or some kind of group identity, like identity.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, that
Not
is
quite it.
added on.
Yeah.
Added on to the primary I.
And so there's no such thing as a separate identity of a collective.
Not at all.
Uh-huh.
Actually, there is no separation to begin with.
But there's no
So-
separation of the individual either, so then we could posit.
There is no such thing.
Mhm.
But because we have the desire to keep on emphasizing I and mine, we keep on adding whatever we want to, and there's no limit to what we can add on. There's no limit. That is what is called Maya.
Mataji,
Yes?
is this I that you're talking about, this primary concept is I, is that Mahamaya?
Collective, yes.
Yeah, so that's the collective, the Mahamaya is the collective, and then we create our own Maya.
Oh, yes. Yeah. This collective and individual, this is what is the clue to the whole thing. If I want to get out of the individual, narrow point of view, I need to relate to the collective. And from the collective to the impersonal. The collective is also personal. That is the idea of the personal God. Personal God is the collective. And it's like, how would you call it? It's easier to go via the collective to the impersonal rather than go to the impersonal directly. From the individual personality to go to the impersonal is very tough, but you can go via the collective ego. Collective ego can be called the mother, the father, God, whatever you like to call it. And that is also a personality. That's the meaning of saying, if you pray to God, you will get your answer. But the prayer has to be based on some real relationship.
The powers of Maya. The beginning of this play of life is through ignorance of one's real nature, and the contributions of millions of beings give it a kind of solid reality called Maya in Advaita philosophy. For example, we influence each other with our opinions, ideas, and belief systems, and when billions do the same thing, it becomes a tremendous power of veiling reality and projecting the world of complicated and conflicting experiences. We all project our energy, and that takes on a cyclonic nature and creates multiple impressions. This is Maya, and it manifests in two powers of veiling reality and projecting an appearance of the same reality. The power of projecting is based on each of us seeking support and appreciation of our individual and separate existence from each other. Billions doing this makes it a very powerful whirlpool. We take it as reality. Activity creates more activity, and so it goes on, and that is Maya. It is made up of our regrets, misunderstandings, and expectations, our focus on how we look, whether we are fat or thin, our dresses, our cosmetics, the business, the stock exchange, and so on and on. Then it becomes so powerful that we are lost. It becomes a reality, and that reality gives birth to more complex experiences which have their own consequences. That is why the play of life is called Maya. The veiling and projecting powers of Maya. Two powers undoubtedly are predicated of Maya, viz., those of projecting and veiling. The projecting power creates everything from the subtle body to the gross universe. In the beginning, the simple desire of the human heart is to exist and play the game of life, which necessitates the presence of the seeming objective reality in order to compete and win. This is the seed of avidya or ignorance. Why avidya? Because we do not realize our own value, so we seek that trophy or commendation from outside, and that gives rise to a series of activities in the world around us on which is based everything. That is what the ancient thinkers are trying to say, that the beginning is ignorance, and the multiple points of view give it a solid reality. Then it becomes a power game as we project our energy. This competitive game played by one and all generates the collective energy which picks up momentum and becomes like a cyclone, like a whirlpool. We are directing our energy towards each other without realizing that we do not need competition and conflict to survive. If we could draw back as individuals and realize that there is no need for all this frenetic activity, that we are not the outer appearance, then this play of Maya would lose its intensity. But this play seems to be universal. Every creature has this veiling and projecting power. Veiling is covering the nature of the truth, which is simple and uncomplicated. The manyness of this universe depends on the veiling and projecting power. In order to understand this, we must look at our own experiences. The moment we hear something, for example, we react immediately. Are we sure we have heard correctly? Have we really understood what the other wants to convey? This action-reaction seems to happen simultaneously. But we can withdraw and take away our own enameling and look for truth. This needs understanding and practice. At the human level, we have the capacity to withdraw. That is our basic strength. We have the power to attach our attention to something, and we also have the power to withdraw it. So it depends on whether we want to do it or not. We think we are intelligent beings, yet if someone makes a derogatory remark, we immediately react. Why should that be so? Either we know ourselves or we don't. If we do, there is no need to react, and if we do not know of our capacity or intelligence, then we are at the mercy of others anyway. So it is a question of how confident we are within ourselves. How much faith do we have in our existence or intelligence? There was a time that a simple barter system for trade existed. Then the medium of exchange was introduced and the value related to demand and supply. That led to the spiraling of the network of business that we have today. As human beings, we seek to complicate life because we do not enjoy simplicity. We may assert that we like to be simple, but we would find it monotonous and repetitive. There may have been some simplicity at the very early level in every civilization. But as society becomes more complicated, conflict and competition get multiplied. Our attitudes and emotions are playing at this game of veiling and revealing. Our memory affects what we see, and that affects the background for the next reaction. Advaita says the only way to simplicity is to withdraw, to recall that we are the simple unit, undivided, infinite, and all-pervading. We want experiences. At the outside it seems simple enough, though they give us both joy and sorrow. That is when the mind seeks the causes. Because we cannot comprehend all the causes, we get caught in trying to find links for all our unpleasant experiences. Sometimes the links may be easy to understand, but most of the time they're not. The mind is limited, and yet it is trying to make sense of the universe and how it functions. We need to know because we want predictability. It gives us control. In order to control our life, we need predictability, so we have this great desire to become prophets, to predict. To expect predictability is one thing, and to live with uncertainty is quite another thing. If we understand Maya, the real functioning of Maya, we will be prepared to live with uncertainty. That gives strength.
Could you give an example of what living with uncertainty is like and how you would,
What uncertainty is like. We all know that death is something we cannot predict. So what do? Though we know it is absolutely certain. So to live with the uncertainty of not knowing and yet living a life which is meaningful means to live with uncertainty. I don't need to be frightened, but I need to keep it in mind that there is uncertainty about many things, not only death, there are many things which are uncertain. So we need to keep it in the mind that yes, this world is not absolutely predictable in each and every little thing. And yet I need to find meaning in my life. I need to find a purpose. I need to have willpower. My motivation has to be there. I cannot become depressed because life is uncertain. So, uncertainty as well as deep motivation is something which seems contradiction in terms. How can I do that? If everything is uncertain, I feel like giving up. But not to give up, and yet to remain within the game, which is what I need to experience so that I can get out of it. Not through predictability, but by the ultimate certainty, which is that I am the center. I am the center means the universal. The universal center alone is absolutely certain. This is what the Vedas try to give us. That reality is, you are not going to create reality or change it or make it better or worse. Reality is, the underground or the underlying reality of this universe is. That is the only certainty. And I am that. But when I want to play the game, I have to live in uncertainty.
That's beautiful. One other thing that goes with that. Recently, I went to a interfaith function, actually with the Swami, and these different faiths would get together to pray for peace, because war is uncertainty and this and that. And it seemed to me that it's kind of ridiculous to pray for something like that. But I don't get that. I don't get that when I pray to Shri Krishna or Holy Mother to bring peace to the world. And what am I asking for?
Oh, I am asking for something that will gather force if millions do it together. Because it's a play of energy. That also is energy. If I turn it towards experiences which are supposed to give more balance to life, remember the society can become balanced so that more and more people can evolve. That's the purpose of society, nothing else. But we think the purpose of society is to, I don't know what everyone thinks, that we are here to enjoy. Create little islands within the universe and then enjoy it. But actually, civilization means where majority can evolve. So, majority can evolve only when there is more or less peace. So, I can pray for that. There's no problem about that. And it isn't a waste of time or energy either. Remember that in the Vedic tradition, before you start anything, they will pray for Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Why? Because it's the necessity. It's the necessity of the mind to to be able to function within an atmosphere where moving on becomes possible. Because when there is no peace, moving on becomes very tough. It's very difficult. So we can pray for peace, and that means I, at least individually, am sending out a current of energy which is not aggressive. Oh, definitely I can. And that is the meaning of living with uncertainty.
So clear. Just one added question.
Mm-hmm.
If people, I don't know, I'm saying myself, or, we pray to God to intercede in the world, to do something, like, I want you, who's outside of me, to intervene in the world, then that is like fundamentalism, isn't it?
Well, they are functioning from the level of duality. But you can't force people to come to the next level unless they have finished their experiences. That's not for me to change or for me to reform, but it is definitely possible as an individual to start living at a level which is a little above this duality, which is no joke either, because we are born with the idea that separation is absolutely real. So to penetrate to a level of some kind of unity is the effort needed by millions of individuals. And then only it can become possible. And as I said before, civilization is possible only when the majority understands that it is meant for giving opportunity to evolve, not to stay put. And that's the problem. We think we are here to stay put, but actually civilization is meant to give us an opportunity to evolve, to move on. That becomes possible only when we learn to live with uncertainty and yet remain dynamic. Not to be depressed, not to start saying that, what can I do? That is not the way. That will not function. That is what degrades a culture. When people start saying it's hopeless, helpless, and they start using language which we have started using now, as if depression is a very normal thing. I am depressed. You hear it all the time, as if it's something like a, I don't know what.
Like a headache.
No.
Unavoidable.
Yeah, it seems as if it's a compulsory side effect of human life itself. So even the language can make you change your attitude from one of being dynamic to being depressed. Say 100 times I am depressed, I will be depressed. So the opposite, which is what Advaita Vedanta says, why can't you assert the opposite?
So maybe when I feel that way, should I say I'm feeling separated?
When you are feeling that way, you have to fight your own mind and say, what business have you to give me this idea? My relationship with my own mind. Remember, the mind is supposed to be our greatest enemy and the greatest friend. So I have to have a relationship with my mind so that it doesn't take me for a ride.
Isn't that what
balance.
Krishna said to Arjuna?
Of course. You don't use correct language. Just as you use a language for a little kid. Why do we have a language of encouragement for a kid? Because the kid is ignorant. So is the mind. So you are supposed to be better than the mind. Therefore, give it a kick.
Mataji, but like I just have to say that it needs to be acknowledged for where it is.
Not at
Like,
all.
it doesn't need to be Like act like
Not at
it's
all. You need to relate to it in such a way.
I need to rise immediately to the higher level, and I don't need to get down to its
not
level.
It's a question of using language which the mind will understand. See the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna says, I cannot fight, my limbs are trembling, and I can see all kinds of, what does he say?
Evil omens.
Evil omens. And he says, you think you are intelligent, but you are a fool. Why does he say that? Because we need the same language for our own mind. Don't be stupid. One needs to say to one's own mind, don't be stupid. Don't be idiotic. Don't be an imbecile.
It's coming out. It's coming out. This is the last day of 6 retreats. Get it all out. See it. Don't hold yourself.
We make an effort to be depressed.
Of course, that
So we have
also
to
needs
transform
energy.
that effort.
Yeah. We need to make a relationship with our own mind because it is separate. See, the basic understanding is the body is separate, the mind is also separate from me, and I need to have a relationship so that it will listen to me. The mind can be divided in two. One side takes the level of the buddhi, another the manas, and in between is the ego. So I need to tell it how to behave. Just as a mother tells the child how to behave.
Does that have something to do with the mushroom yesterday? One side makes you big and one side makes you small. One side makes you...
I know it is hard, not that it is not, but one needs to start sometimes, somewhere, before one starts sliding down to a level where you and the mind become absolutely one and the same. I can't. I can cry, but cry to whom? Somebody who will listen. And that is the collective mind, which is called God. Yes?
Just one thing about what she just said. When you recognize that you're separated, you're kind of you're turning the mind into an object, saying, instead of being married to the separation and wailing, and you're saying, oh, my grid is feeling separated. Now I can, but that's not me. But
idea is to talk to the mind in what I understand is correct language. Language is a great thing. It's our medium for the world as well as for ourselves. For the world we use a very polite language because we know that it won't do to change that language. But for my own mind, I can use very, very strong language. Do that. Yes?
I thank you for everything this week. It's been really wonderful to be here and experience your teachings. On page 56 in the middle, you bring up work. You bring up how in the old days it was simple, right? I wish we could go back to a barter system.
We are not supposed to.
Okay.
We are supposed to understand that this is the way evolution has taken place
Okay.
in society. I am part of that society, and I must have wanted to be part of this society. That's the basic thing. If I did not want it, I wouldn't be here. But then we do things subconsciously, not realizing that I wanted it, I needed it. So again change the language. I wanted to be part of this level, this space-time, I needed to be. So then discover what was the need. Wanted to is the first step. I wanted to be part of this level, or this space-time, or this culture, this country, this race. And then ask, what is the need? Because need is not very clear. So I need to ask myself again and again, what could it be that I needed to be part of this particular culture or this particular geographical land? this education, and slowly the mind itself becomes a guide, itself becomes the guru, and starts showing why you are what you are. That's the meaning of self-inquiry. And that has to be in this age. Because there is no other way of getting answers or solutions from others. It's not possible. The books are there are people who can talk about it, but the idea is that I need to solve my own problem. Yes?
Coming again to this uncertainty.
Pardon?
Coming again to this uncertainty. Is it possible to be more aware of this, trying to imagine ourselves in different situations, or is a more breathy?
More?
Or is again a breathy? To imagine ourselves in different situations, for have more prepared for this uncertainty.
That can be a method, yes, to some extent, but that's it can be a practice. But uncertainty is very basic. We do not know everything about this universe. I don't know everything about myself either. So my basic purpose is to find my path and walk on it. Practice that. And uncertainty is the background against which I have to function. But that's a method. Of course I can put myself in various conditions and ask myself, how would I behave in such a condition? Of course, one can do that.
Then that would be if I am that aware that when I am in that situation, I don't let the emotions take over rather than being rational and planning it that way. It's okay to think through and say, if I were in that situation, this is how I could or should behave. But when I actually get into a situation, if I let my emotions take over, I won't.
No. If one has looked at a particular space-time situation again and again and accepted that it could be the possibility, then one is not taken by surprise. But emotion will not rise, one can't predict. One cannot say. No? Because life means using everything that is part of my makeup. And emotion is a very deep deep kind of energy that we use. So we cannot say that I will not be emotional. I can be, I have every right to be. But then I can separate myself from that also in various situations and see. The whole idea is to move on, not to get stuck.
Mike, is that how we can understand then, like how you'd said, that was very helpful to me when you said part of that civilizations can't exist without, an awareness that we're here to evolve. Like you can't really have a civilization unless the majority of the people kind of understand that and can create conditions conducive for that. So then if we find ourselves in a situation, like we came to a space-time that is not balanced, then, those are quite a few clues, then it seems like a big choice at some point is between helping the civilization balance, which is by helping myself balance.
It has to start with me. How much balance can I contribute to whatever extent it is possible, so that I don't add to the misery of the world which is already there. That's the responsibility that an ordinary person can take, not more than that.
Versus if I would have come, or when I came, or whatever, to another space-time that was imbalanced, then I have, I can just imagine then how maybe my path would be different or something.
Today it is imbalanced.
Yeah.
Absolutely imbalanced.
Yeah, that's.
This civilization, there is no civilization today, by the way. We are like swimming or drowning in an ocean of all kinds of movements that are happening. So to ask oneself, as far as I understand, why do I need this kind of a thing? Something must have brought me to this. And there are so many ways of understanding. Let us say that, which we have, I think we have discussed, 200 years ago there were no gadgets, there were no complicated situations. Women especially did not have to go out of the home. Everything was sort of limited. Today it is not. Would I rather go back? Ask yourself. Why not? Would I rather go back to that? If not, then accept the challenge. So something must have happened that I moved on to this level. And maybe I didn't do it personally, but the drive, if again you connect it to the collective consciousness, that collective consciousness is driving you to a particular space-time situation. So connect with that, because that's the only steadiness that we have. And then function from that. That is there, that is certain, the rest is uncertain. And it has to be uncertain because I am walking. On the way, I cannot have certainty. Certainty would be, I sit down and say I'm not going to move. That's no life. So, I move on. Certainty is possible only at the collective level. And that is what I need to get into my thick head.
Mataji,
Yes.
the perfect example is in when we had the earthquake in Nepal. The people lost homes and they were on the street. But it was like, they were saying, well, it's not only me, it happened to everybody. And then they were going out and helping others who were in need, forgetting about their own problems. So it's a collective thing again. That gave them
More
the
and
strength.
more we are being pushed.
Mhm.
If you want to see, we are being pushed towards collective consciousness. But to do it willingly, it becomes very nice. It gives you back a feeling of participation, contribution. And if you are pushed towards it, I can start protesting.
It is manifestation, not creation. We are on page 58. The manifesting of all names and forms in the entity which is existence, consciousness, bliss, and which is the same as Brahman, like the foam, etc., in the ocean, is known as creation.
Now, Indian psychology does not use the word creation. It uses the word manifestation, projection. These are the two words which are there. So, manifestation immediately makes you understand there is something which is steady, it's manifesting itself. And there it will be change, it will be dynamic, it will be transitory. All those ideas are like a implication of the basic changelessness of something. So accept the changelessness and then manifest. No problem. But if I feel that there is no changelessness, that there is no certainty, then of course life becomes absolutely impossible. Which is what we are doing to ourselves today, because we have, again I'll say the same thing, we have rejected the word God. That was the only certainty given in every culture. And we do not know what to replace it with. Replace it with something. If you don't like the word God, then replace it with something. Certainty is absolutely necessary to evolve, because the rest is all change. There is nothing that does not change. I need to, as Sri Ramakrishna says, you need to hold on to a pole if you want to whirl round and round. So, what is the pole? I better find out. What's my pole?
In Buddhism, therefore, there is
No, Buddhism is a very different thing.
no, there's no certainty in that sense, except
No.
that Buddha talked of nirvana.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's moment
It's
to
all
moment,
change.
kshanikam. So
Yeah.
it's like everything is change.
Yeah.
Then how does that get established in the mind of the people who want to practice?
No. Buddhism as it is practiced today has nothing to do with the real discovery of the Buddha. You better understand that. That whatever we think Buddhism is based on so many different
Interpretations.
oh yeah. Same in Advaita Vedanta
Yes.
also, accepting that in this age, Swamiji is trying to re-establish the idea that that is the only changeless reality. You better take that as the base and then whirl around, no problem. But you want to whirl around without any certainty, then there's nothing left but to drown in the ocean. And nobody likes that.
So what is the main tenet of original Buddhism as the Buddha saw it?
Original Buddhism?
That's been lost or not really acknowledged now.
Original Buddhism had the Buddha, you see, an enlightened man. And that was the certainty. His enlightenment, that was the certainty. Therefore, what did the early Buddhists do? They made him into a god. So that is certainty. But now what people understand about Buddhism, I don't know. Because there are so many interpretations. If nothing else, then there will be some Lama, Dalai Lama, somebody else, that's certainty. Again the same thing. Or a ritual. You see, without understanding these psychological movements of the mind, we can't really function. That my need is for certainty, but in the ocean there can't be any certainty. So I must hold on to some word, because we speak to our own minds also through words. So the words have to have some meaning.
So that certainty is the Ishta in
Yeah,
the outer world.
of course.
So
Yeah.
that's why the image of the Buddha or the Guru or
Everywhere it's the same thing. A symbol, an image, or a temple, or a mosque. It has to be there.
Maria has a question.
Maria has a question.
There's Go ahead.
When you spoke about holding onto the pole and as long as
Whirling.
and whirling, Sandra had a question. I was wondering if it was similar. Can you help me, Sandra, about Ramakrishna saying putting something in your something in your cloth?
Tying the
Tie something to
philosophy
your
in your
cloth.
cloth.
Oh yeah. Tie Advaita Vedanta to your corner of your whatever you're wearing, and
Okay, no, I'm
then
sorry, someone else.
live your life.
We talked
Oh,
Then-
you're not sorry. I'm sorry. Lynette. Tie it to your. I'm sorry. So what was
Tie to your dog.
Certainty is Advaita Vedanta,
Yeah.
and the rest is change. Uncertain. We are trying to make the uncertain certain by force. It doesn't happen. It can happen. Rain is predictable, all right. In Auburn it is predictable. In India
Only
it is
because
not.
we're feeling it.
Yeah.
So So is
To
that-
live with uncertainty and yet not be depressed is the greatest strength.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mataji, did the second visit of Swami Vivekananda here give the results he had expected, or he didn't expect anything?
He is saying, if you read his letters
No.
from here in the second this thing, he said, all my life I protested. I didn't want to become a willing sacrifice. Now I am willing. What does it mean? That he was brought from a level where there is absolute certainty. Nirvikalpa Samadhi is supposed to be absolute certainty. He was brought down from here, he was scolded by Sri Ramakrishna that you are such a mean-minded person that you want that for yourself. So he was brought down. So the protest that was there in his mind while talking, while delivering lectures, while traveling like a circus, he says, I am taking round like a circus turn, going from place to place, not knowing where food will come from and where, whatever. And he had to accept all that under protest. Second time he came, he says, now I am a willing sacrifice. Take me to the
The guillotine.
and we are also the same. We are here under protest. Just recognize these things within yourself. We are protesting all the time, but do not know what exactly we are protesting against. So we are protesting against the presence of God, actually. You don't want to accept the idea that there could be somebody greater than I am. Yeah. Just look at the moves within yourself. Why would I say, I want to do it, I don't want to do it, I like it, I dislike it? Because I want to play God. It's as simple as that. So then either you understand, oh yes, that is the problem, all right, I don't want to play God. Let it be. I just want to play simple games. I don't want to play God.
Advaita Vedanta tries to teach us that there is one principle of Satchitananda, existence, consciousness, bliss, which is appearing as the universe. We can take the example of a dream and compare it with the waking state. We are fascinated by the dream and do not care to find the cause of the dream, the dreamer. We look at the ocean and believe that the one wave causes the next wave. If the mind is able to look at the substratum, it can avoid the veiling and projecting power. The human mind wants to find out how events are linked together so that it can be satisfied. What is the mind seeking? Every human mind has the desire for the unchangeable and eternal. However, the surface mind is satisfied with local or fanciful causes, especially when everything is moving along smoothly. When turbulence arises in our daily life, which affects us, then we want to find the ultimate cause, usually with the concept of the Creator God, so that we can get some consolation. But we need to understand that the mind, which is seeking answers, is in itself creating the problems. From the Vyavaharic level, Advaita asserts that what we are looking at is Brahman, but we cannot see it because we are projecting something else. Why is it difficult to accept this universe as it is? The otherness, which doesn't seem the same as I, fascinates us, and yet it bothers us. From this comes the idea that the world is the source of our problems, and the negativity seems to increase with experience. We find this threatening. We perceive this threat, either consciously or subconsciously, because we cannot accept the concept of otherness. At the same time, it is otherness that creates the world. We have to pose these questions to ourselves. What exactly bothers us in this universe? Where are the apprehensions coming from? What makes us apprehensive about the existence of anything around us, or keeps us at a state of constant red alert? If we were to overcome our sense of incompleteness, we would not be stressed. But to probe deeper, we have to first acknowledge that otherness bothers us. People make families only to ensure there is no otherness. Instinctively, we try to solve these problems by making families, forming groups or sects, and so on.
So I don't get it, that, I mean, and that's part of my ignorance, is that there's no I without another. So I and the other show up at the same time, but yet at a deep level it bothers me. So there are all these signs at a deep, that I'm trying to kind of get out of that ignorance.
Yeah. Once you start recognizing, you have the answer within yourself, that this is what is happening.
The perceived and the perceiver. The other power of Maya conceals the distinction between the perceiver and the perceived objects which are cognized within the body, as well as the distinction between Brahman and the phenomenal universe which is perceived outside one's own body. This power, Shakti, is the cause of the phenomenal universe. We as Atman seem to have identified with names and forms. To understand this, we need to trace these things in ourselves. We constantly throw ourselves into the world. The moment we wake up from deep sleep, we find ourselves out in the world. And we take this as absolutely normal. The distinction between I as a perceiver and the world around us is completely lost, and the world takes over. This veiling power of Maya is called Avarana Shakti. Hindu psychology does not want to assume anything, but wants to point to human experience and take the mystery out of it. The thinkers challenge us to look at our experiences and discern whether these veiling and revealing powers are true or not, and are we responsible for them or not. For example, millions of people have desires, and someone introduces an idea that these desires can be fulfilled, and then everyone is caught in it. Take a very relevant example in today's context that demonstrates the veiling power of Maya, the credit card. Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, God.
While it has great utility if used intelligently, millions of people who hold these cards actually believe that they have immense or unlimited buying power, forgetting that money has actually to be paid. In the euphoria of fulfilling desires, or through their greed or stupidity, human beings create for themselves a level of self-exploitation. How does the mind get fooled into believing that it is getting away with something? We can actually hoodwink ourselves. Let us look at another common example. A popular store advertises a sale, and everyone rushes to buy things to fulfill desires without any reflection on actual needs. So at least let us not blame the other and acknowledge that we have the great desire to be hoodwinked. This starts this chain reaction of karma and its consequences. If we could at least tell ourselves very honestly that we are here because we enjoy the show, that we are doing this consciously, and if we get into the soup, we are responsible for it. It is our choice. then at least the reactions will be different. Actually, we can do exactly what we are doing as long as we are aware of the power of mischief in the play. The subtle body, lingam, which exists in close proximity to the witness, sakshan, identifying itself with the gross body, becomes the embodied empirical self, on account of its being affected by the reflection of consciousness.
Mataji,
Yes?
this word witness as being sakshin, how is that, what does that actually mean and how is that related to Purusha?
Purusha is the Sakshi
Is the same.
and witness, same thing. There is only one eye in this universe which sees. The rest of eyes, individual eyes, are blind. Isn't that nice language?
Yeah.
Makes it so clear.
But you can't see
You
that
see
yesterday
everything.
they were imbeciles. It's also clear.
I love this language. Talking to them.
The Sakshin or the Atman is birthless, deathless, immutable and without attributes. The Vyavaharik Jiva or the Jivatman, through the subtle body, is the person who believes in behavior, does not know how to be himself, as he is.
Do you understand the meaning of that? That we believe in behavior. We are taught from childhood how to sit, how to stand, how to say hello, how to say thank you, sorry. That's behavior. We are taught this by society. So we carry it on thinking that yes, that is what I am. Just get behind that.
Well, and thinking that there's a behavior I can do to get out of
That?
my ignorance.
Yeah. Speak the correct language to your mind. Outside in society, I still have to behave as if I am part of society. But within myself, I can be anything I like. But it will depend on whether I have a separate language for talking to my own mind and a language for society. Pardon?
Bilingual.
Yes, bilingual.
That's great.
We get that language only from books like the Bhagavad Gita and the Bible also to some extent. But we are given this language only by people who have realized the truth. Whereas we pick up our language from the media. We can take examples from that. I love the idea of stock exchange. Every day you get up and you look at whether it's going up or down.
And it affects your whole mood.
Have I earned money? Have I lost it? Go ahead, do it day after day, day after day, day after day. What do I become? Just like they have these toys which with a little this thing, it goes up, then comes down, or like a monkey. They used to have it used to be a arithmetic problem. How many, if there is an oiled pole, how much time will it take for the monkey to rise up? Because at every step it falls down. Don't take it seriously. These are my own